Update 13: The Devaluation of Life. Unfortunately, MPs in the UK have just voted by 330 votes to 275 in support of Kim Leadbeater's assisted suicide bill. This means that the bill will now proceed onto the committee stage. At the time of writing, I don't know how this is going to end. However, I can see many parallels to the debate that we had in the UK about abortion in the 1960s. At the time, several medical and legal arguments were put forward in support of the introduction of the Abortion Act in 1967. For instance, prominent medical opinions stressed the risk to women's health and lives posed by unsafe illegal abortions. In fact, this was the main argument put forward by David Steele, the Liberal MP who introduced the Act. He was attempting to replace unsafe illegal abortions with safe legal ones. The slogan, "A woman's right to choose," had not even been invented at that stage. At the time, the wards of most public hospitals contained patients who were suffering from sceptic and incomplete abortions. This was the real evil that he was trying to address. In 1966, a total of 21,400 abortions were reported in the United Kingdom. So, what has happened since? The following chart shows how the number of reported abortions in the UK has increased since 1966. And you can see how after the introduction of the bill, the number of reported abortions shot up, and it has increased ever since. People generally have become lovers of themselves rather than lovers of God. This means that anything that inconveniences people or that costs them too much has to be avoided. This is a sign of the last days, spoken about in the second book of Timothy, chapter 3. For men shall be lovers of their own selves, covetous, boasters, proud, blasphemers, disobedient to parents, unthankful, unholy, without natural affection, truce breakers, false accusers, incontinent, fierce, despisers of those that are good, traitors, heady, high-minded, lovers of pleasure more than lovers of God. So what has happened is that the initial argument for abortion has been forgotten. Instead of legal abortion being used in a few thousand cases as an alternative to unsafe illegal abortions, it has been used in hundreds of thousands of cases as an option for birth control. The sanctity of life of the unborn child has now almost been forgotten. The following chart shows how support for a woman having an abortion, if she decides on her own that she does not wish to have a child, has grown between the years 1982 to 2022. It shows how quickly society has changed. Where there was once some respect for unborn children in society, this is no longer the case. So you can see that basically the general opinion that it's alright for a woman to abort a child if she doesn't want it has just gone up and up and up, and these are the latest figures I could find, but it's obviously heading up to 80%. The point I'm making is that we are now facing the exact same situation with old and unwell people. Traditionally, the role of the doctor has been to save life. This was enshrined in the Hippocratic Oath, and the doctor's first duty was to save life. Now we have a situation where doctors may be able to intentionally take a life. Supporters of legislation for assisted dying argue that the right to have the choice when to die is of profound moral importance. When and how one dies is a matter of such significance that individuals ought to have the freedom to define the timing and manner of their deaths. This sounds reasonable, but why have I the feeling that things will go the same way as they have with abortion? The argument now is that some people who are in great suffering should be able to choose to end their life. We will end up with hundreds of thousands of frail elderly people who aren't in a position to argue having their lives terminated. Once we give up on the idea that life is a sacred gift from God, then we'll continue down this slippery slope. There are already people arguing for after-birth abortion, and also for terminating unborn children because they have undesirable characteristics. We are heading for a world where the old, the sick, the disabled, and the unwanted are deemed disposable. This isn't scare talk. It is what is actually happening, because the majority of people have lost their fear of God and their respect for life. Luke chapter 9 verse 56. For the Son of Man is not come to destroy men's lives, but to save them. So, thank you for listening. If you found this video interesting, you can find more information on prophecy-workshop.com.